share with us the name of your mother and what you call her. And I'm going to start with mine. My mother's name was Eleanor Ostroga, and we called her Wow. Ayleen. You just stand up and let people see your smiling face and who your mother was.
My mother was Ayleen Augustine, and after she passed, my chosen mother is Hilda Liliana Granada.
I am Lucia. My birth mother is Andrea Lang. I call her Mom or Mother, depending on the mood. And my spiritual mom, Ayleen Augustine.
My mother was Louise Crawford.
My mom is Joyce Engels, and I call her Mom because she won't let me call her Mother or Mommy Dearest.
Can't top that.
My mother was Virgie Irene Gaskill, with a lot of married names after that, and I called her Mom. My stepmom and probably my spiritual mom was Barbara Louisa Ewers.
My mom is Elizabeth Louise Tanner. She goes by Betty, and I call her Mom.
My mother is Marjorie Vale, Marjorie Blythe Vale, and I called her Mom.
My mother was Violet Smith, and of course, we called her Mom. Every once in a while, something else. Especially when she made us cut our own switches.
Oh, yeah.
My mom was Alice Elizabeth Anger Childs, and I called her Mom.
My mother is Sarah Anna Dismuke Grigsby Terry Stanton, and I called her Mom.
My mother was June Chesney. I called her Mommy, and this June 1st, if she was still alive, she'd be 100 years old.
Wow.
I'm gonna sit. My mother, Dorothy Jean Millie, and my middle name is Jean, like my mother's name, but the very special person is my stepmom, and that was Emma Millie, and I called her Emma.
My mother was Mary Bernice, and I called her Mom, and the rest of the world called her Mama Squat, because our last name was Squatrito. And that was the period that all the teenagers gave her.
I'm so sorry.
I was feeling, I said that out loud, didn't I?
We were all thinking it. My mother's name was Beverly, and after her long life, she passed about 6 weeks ago.
Wow.
And we were not close. We were not close. It was not a loving relationship.
So if I had a woman who was my mother, it was Mrs. Smith. We didn't call her anything but Mrs. Smith. And she showed me love and care and that. And sadly, we lost her when I was 11.
Oh.
My mom's name is Amina Ramazoni, and I call her by many names, but Mom most commonly. And so she
My mother's name was Mary Margaret. I lost her when I was 9 years old, but the two other women who became second mommies were Winifred and Rosella.
My mom's name is Lorraine Betancourt, and
What's your first name?
Lorraine
Lorraine.
Betancourt, and I call her Mom. I also had a lady who was our neighbor who I called my second mom when I was growing up, named Dana. And she was, my mom was hospitalized shortly after I was born, so she was my mom for a short time. And she actually just lost her oldest daughter. She had cancer, was diagnosed 3 weeks to the day before she died. So if we could send a special prayer to Dana for Mother's Day, a special spiritual hug for her would be really cool.
My mother's name was Billy, and I called her Billy.
Oh.
And then my grandmother, I was raised by my grandmother, and her name was Charlene, and my name's Charlene, so that's, but I called her Mom, Mom and Pop. I mean, her husband. She was Mom, he was Pop.
I want to see that one.
Thank you.
My second mom's name is Dottie, 2 T's. She's alive and well.
My mom's name is Norma Jean, and
My mom was named Shirley Marie Bauer, and she would be 105 if she were alive today.
Wow.
She had me very late in her life, and I lost her when I was 17. And a couple of moms that I like to recognize because they were so helpful to me was Bonnie Sutton and Gloria Worthington. They were also very loving to me. But all of the women in my life have been very good to me, and I've been blessed compared to so many who've had trying times of theirs. My heart was up.
Okay, my mom's name, she comes from Japan, and southernmost island called Okinawa. Big city there called Naha, capital city. And our name is Umiko Higa Akimune. And if you can say it really fast, I'll pat you on the back and take you out to dinner. But no, my mom, she's like that. That's her sense of humor like that. And I think I got that from her. Cause she's so funny all the time. This man here knows. She just says something and it's like we're having a normal everyday conversation, but she has Japanese sensibilities. So what's sensitive to them is not sensitive to us because of the different culture. And she just says it's the most off-the-wall thing sometimes. You just start cracking up, you're laughing, belly laughs, right? And she's like offended because you're laughing so hard. And it's like, what's so funny? You know, she's serious, you know. Mom, you have no idea how funny you are. She goes, we're American and you're Japanese. And it's like, what's funny to us is not funny to you because you're so serious to us. She goes, oh, I'm serious? Okay.
Say it how she says it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm serious? She goes, you think that's really funny? It's no funny to me. And I just hug her, you know. She's so funny. I love her to death, and she's actually my best friend, so. She's been my best friend for many, many years. I was a teenager when we became best friends. And she has seen me through so much. I don't know what she did to kick me out of the house.
Still time.
I'm not gonna stand because I have a hard time standing up. My mother's name is Muriel, and I'll always call her mom. She's still alive. She's 89.
Wow.
She's got the nicest mom.
You don't have to stand up.
I'm not gonna stand up. My birth mom was Betty Jane, and called her mom. And then my best friend's mother, Meryl, was my second mom, who really taught me about loving. I called her Meryl.
So my mom's name is June. She was born right in the middle of the month on June 15th, and so a fortune teller told my grandmother that my mom would have good luck all her life, and named her that. So she was named June, and I called her mom.
My mom's name is Sherry. She's had too many last names to I've always called her Mom. Not to be confused with Mama Will. I don't know what happened to the last M. In fact, I called my mom by her first name until I was probably around 6 or 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
I never called her anything other than Sherry. And people would ask her, "Oh, is this your little brother?"
So I'd like to just quickly on Mill. I also had a next door neighbor, Ellen Margaret Pfeiffer, and she was a second mom to me. And whenever I was in trouble as a kid, Ellen was always there, and I babysat for all of her kids, and her kids. She passed away a couple of years ago, but her kids are still in touch with me, and they still remember me as mommies, as Ellen used to call us. Everybody called her the Sunflower Mom, Ellen Sunflower. She used to call me her, her little teenager. So I'm still her teenager, even at 62 years old.
Thank you all very much. I know for some of you it's difficult when you've just lost a mom, but know that they never go away. They're always in your heart. So, thank you so much. And now our wonderful UCM president.
Yay.
Dr. Ayleen Augustine.
Yay.
Waving from the shore. They grow and they go.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, wonderful, Ayleen.
The technology working here is like, oh,
I was
Mom's
gonna say, what
picture.
happened to that? It's like-
She was in there somewhere. Hey, Mom. Which was fascinating because my mother was like, any technology around her just went haywire. She couldn't wear watches. Okay, here we go. I've often talked about the 3 ways that God answers prayers. Well, there was the 3 ways that my mother answered me. First, no, because, well, the overruling reason was because I said so. Occasionally, that was replaced by because you don't know where it's been, or it will put your eye out. And for those who, I think we're all old enough to remember the everything will put your eye out. Don't touch that rubber band, it'll put your eye out. It's not just a line from Christmas Story. The second way my mom answered was not yet. Because either I hadn't finished cleaning my room, I hadn't finished my homework, I hadn't finished my chores, or my sister had not outgrown it. And the third way was, well, I guess so.
Oh.
And she would just look at me and say, well, and I'd ask her for something, well, I guess so. I guess we can do that. But, and there was always the, if I wanted to go down to the library, Well, I guess so, but just make sure you watch when you cross the street. Make sure you're not talking to strangers. Make sure that that little boy that throws things at you, if he bothers you, then you tell me and then I'll come take care of it. And make sure you're very respectful to the librarian because you know she's older and you always be polite. So my mom taught me many, many things. And most of all, she taught me how to be a mom. And her first lesson for me to be a mom was when I told her that I was pregnant for the first time. She looked at me and she hugged me and she said, "There's two things I want you to tell yourself every single day. First, they grow and they go. Wow. And the second, God did not give this child to me. He only loaned it to me." And I remember at the time, it's like, yeah, right, whatever. I'm having a baby. It's mine and it's gonna be mine forever and it's gonna love me and I'll always be right and I'll always be brilliant and I'll always take care of it. And then I had my baby and I was sitting there in the hospital holding this new life in my hands thinking, I am so not qualified for this job. I don't know. The nurses aren't coming home with me. How am I supposed to take care of this? There was no manual. I would have been willing to squeeze one out. And then I said, God, don't let me screw this up. Help me not to screw it up. And occasionally I screwed it up. Another thing my mother taught me, once she said, I may not have done everything right, but I never once did anything because I thought it was bad for you. Everything she did with the best of intentions, and yet acknowledged that sometimes she was wrong. My mother and I were not real close when I was growing up because my sister, she was my mother's daughter. They cooked together, they did ceramics together, they were both very artsy. They both had very similar personalities. I was my father's daughter. I was the favorite. We all knew it. We didn't worry about it. There was no argument in our house who was my father's favorite because we all knew it was me. And so it worked out well. My mom had my sister, my dad had me, and my brother somehow fit in there somewhere. Having to face my father's slightly disappointed look when it was his two daughters who brought home varsity sports letters. But my mom, you know, she just kind of did her thing, and we had these like two little separate sort of lives going. And then my dad passed away. And I lost my best friend. And then I looked at my mom, and I saw that she did too. So we started getting a little bit closer. You know, I promised my dad, you know, hey, I would look out for Mom. You know, I'd be there for her. And then my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I can think of nothing that could possibly be harder than watching a child go through something like that. And my mom always kept saying, it should be me. It should be me. No parent should outlive their child.
And my mom said that too.
Yeah, and about 2 weeks after my sister's funeral, it was my mother. She developed breast cancer. And during that time, it was tremendously hard, and yet it was amazing. Because I learned more about my mother during that time as I sat with her and helped her and worked with her. Because she spent years that she didn't seek treatment and she did not tell anybody. Because she was in a custody fight with my sister's ex-husband over the children. He had never been a part of their lives. And she did not want them to go and be with a stranger when they just lost their mother. So, she realized that if she was a senior citizen widow with cancer, she probably wouldn't get them. So she hid it, and she didn't say anything. Oddly enough, it was my sister who came back and told me, there's a problem with Mom.
Wow.
And I was mad at her anyway. It's like, you died, you left me in charge of everything. I have to be everybody's mom, I've got to be Mom's mom. And she said, yeah, sorry about that. I wasn't thrilled with the idea either. And then she said, it's gonna get worse. And I'm like, really? She told me in that dream that in 3 days my mother would tell me she had cancer, and in exactly 3 days my mother told me she had cancer. And I remember the most important thing my sister said was, you've got to remember, she's gonna be okay. First she's gonna be okay with you, then she's gonna be okay with me. So that sustained me, and that helped me as our relationship transitioned from daughter to mother to, in some ways, mother to daughter. I began to mother my mother. Mom, are you doing okay? Let me come over and I'm gonna make sure that you got all your pills settled. She loved to mix up her pills. It's like, oh my God, we spent an hour straightening them all out and now she's got them all on the counter. And that level of frustration, it's like, Mom, I don't want to take the pill. Mom, just take the pill. And I'm thinking to myself, do I have to put it into a hot dog or something? Come on. Help me, help you. Work with me. I'll ball it up in cheese if you like. And I remember getting very frustrated. And I remembered one day, my mom was, because the cancer had spread into her brain, my mom was doing something. It's like, look, Mom, just do it because I said so.
Oh.
And we looked at each other. And for a split second, I was 6 years old. And it's like, I could almost hear my brother somewhere going, you gonna get it? But then she stopped. And she just kind of dropped her head and she gave a little smile. She goes, okay, you know what's best.
Wow.
That was a huge shift. Because we talk about, that sense of, our mothers always being the ones who are there, who take care of us, who make it safe. And many of us here know what it's like to have that role reverse. To be in that position where you need to parent a parent. And in a way, I was so honored by her trust. I was honored by her faith. I was also mad at her. Because it's like, no, you're supposed to be the mom. You're supposed to be the one that I lean on. It's like, well, things change. And so I had the gift of being able to give back to my mother what she had given to me all those years. And I considered that a true blessing. Now, not every mother, life producer, is built for the job. A mother is not about the ability to give life to a body. It is about the willingness to give wings to a child's spirit. It's also the willingness to show them what it feels like to open those wings and let them try them out. And it is also the ability to encourage them to fly, even if it means flying away from you.
Or shoving you out of the nest.
Or shoving you out of the nest. That's an occasional thing. But the thing is that my youngest son decided that he was going to up and move to New Mexico. It's like, why? It's hot. Okay, there's cool stuff. No, he was going there for a girl.
Yeah.
He was dating online.
Oh.
Yay! And there's a special moment for a mother when it sinks in that your son has chosen someone other than you. And it's like, you're gonna move to New Mexico and I can't get you to clean your room. Okay, yeah, that's fair. But he decided that that's what he was gonna do. And misgivings, I had many. But I knew that I couldn't stop him. I knew that I couldn't tell him, no, this is a bad idea, you're gonna fail, because he had to try. My job was to have him step up into the man he could be, and for anybody to step up into the adult that they can be, they're gonna have to do stuff that may go really, really bad.
Amen.
And I thought back to when my sister, she was in cancer remission and she had come to visit me. I was living in Louisiana, and my sons, there was a playground and there was this tower that usually only the big kids were able to climb up on. Somehow my sons figured out how to get up on it. I mean, they were like, you know, Jason was maybe almost 5. And Jeremy was 3.5, and I mean, not bigger like teenage kids, but you know, it was bigger than, the first step was bigger than either one of them. I don't know if one hoisted the other one up, but the next thing I know, I look up and I see them climbing up on the inside of this tower. And I start to get up, and my sister grabbed my hand, she said, you keep your butt in that bench. And it's like, but they could fall. She goes, don't you say it, don't you do it. So I'm sitting there and I see them climbing up, and they get to the top. And they're leaning out over, hi, Mom! And Angie, I said, what do I do? And my sister said, smile, wave, and think of something nice. Oh, I'm so proud. She said, tell them you're proud. I'm so proud of you. Oh, wow, you figured your way up all that way by yourself. And I looked and I saw my sons beaming. Mom's proud of us, yay! And I'm thinking, get away from the edge, get away from the edge, get away from the edge. And when my son told me he wanted to go to New Mexico, I thought about him climbing that tower. I thought about how proud he was. And I thought about another gift that my mother gave me. The phrase, I am no longer management, I'm a consultant.
Yep.
When my sons reached an age where, well, they were going to make their own choices anyway, so I just actively decided not to be the reason that things went badly. It's like, okay, you know, well, you said, or either I did something or I didn't let them do something. So it's like, you know what, I'm a consultant. Knock yourself out. And so as a consultant, I said, is this what you really want to do? And he said, yeah, Mom, I really want to do this. I said, okay. Would you like some suggestions on how to make this happen? And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, yeah, I would. And so I helped him. I packed a huge box that had like an air mattress and all the beginning stuff for his little apartment, his first little apartment. And, you know, arranged for it to be shipped there so it would get there that day so, you know, he could set himself up. And it's like, okay, you need your bus schedules, you need this, you need that. You know, start looking for work. He had signed into the school, the college. And so the first night he called me up and I said, so, you know, you got there safe? And he goes, well, I'm here and it's dark. And so because the PG&E hadn't come on yet, it wasn't set to come on until morning because he got there a day earlier than he thought. So he said, well, the PG&E is not going to be up till tomorrow. And the box didn't get here. That's supposed to get here tomorrow. And he goes, and I'm alone. And it's dark. And I don't have a bed. And I'm scared. And maybe I didn't make a good choice. Maybe I should come home. I miss you. Oh my God. It's like, okay.
Turned into a little boy again.
First instinct. Baby, you go to the nearest bus station, there'll be a ticket waiting for you, you get on it, you come back here, we'll stop this foolishness, I'll make you cookies. And I could feel tears just streaming down my face. And I said, God, help me. Help me in this moment. And in a voice clearer than I thought I was capable of, I said, come on, Chair. You know, you're gonna be fine. I mean, it's not like you haven't spent the night in a dark room before. You're a Cub Scout, for God's sakes. And, you know, all you're gonna do is the stuff will arrive tomorrow. You'll have your power tomorrow. You'll be able to do all the things, and then you're going to start meeting people. Because you know what? You know how it is. And besides, all spiritual warriors need like a sort of a vision quest type of thing. Think this is like a vision quest. And you're going to sit there, and you're going to meditate, and you're going to go into that good place. But Jeremy, you can do this. I said, Lord knows if you're going to go across the, half the country and see a girl, I'm sure that she'll be able to help you get a little bit over your homesickness. And he said, yeah. So after a while, he calmed down and he started to laugh, and, we joked back and forth. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to go to bed now, but, you all right? Yeah, I said, of course you're all right. You're my son. Come on, suck it up, Buttercup. You're a man now. So he laughed, told me he loved me, and hung up. And as I sat there, tears still streaming down my face, thinking my baby doesn't have a bed. But he said he appreciated that. He said, wow, Mom, I was ready to give up, and you didn't let me give up. He said, you'd have no idea how much it meant to me when you said, suck it up, Buttercup, you're a man. Because he said up until then, he didn't feel like one. And that's a part of being a consultant, not management. And often I would think about Martin Luther King's mom. If she had known what was going to happen, would she have just like, you know what, we're packing you up, we're moving you somewhere else. You are not going to lead a life that's going to lead you to that. JFK's mother. Jesus' mother. The idea that, you know what, this person is destined for something and you can't protect them. You can't save them. You can be there for them. Sometimes you'll grieve them. But that's your job. Your job is to get them to where they can grow and they can go. Your job is to stand and wave from the shore as they sail off into their life. And if they are so excited about their future that they don't look back, then you've done your job. Because heck, that ship's going to turn around at some point. And they're going to come back and they're going to tell you all the cool things that they did and all the cool things that they achieved. And you're going to nod and you're going to say, yeah, I knew you could do it. Good for you. And then they're going to introduce you to the new woman who is now the most important person in their life. It's like, gave birth to you, but hey, sure, love her. No, I really do. I love my daughter-in-law. And that's a whole nother story, but she needed a mom too.
Yeah.
She needed somebody who would say, hey, all right, come on, okay, you can do this. She said she was a little afraid of me. It's like, good. Just a little. But then when my son was in a horrible car accident, and she was the only one that the hospital would talk to because she was his wife. And she took care of it. She handled it. She contacted his company. She made the calls that she needed to do. She kept us posted. And when I saw her again, I said, you did a damn good job. And she said, I was so scared. I said, yeah, but it didn't stop you from doing your job. And that is the wife that my son deserves. It's like, now, here's the phrase for him. Suck it up, Buttercup, you're a man. And I've heard her use it, so it's like, yay. Mission accomplished. Whether you're a mother by biology, whether you're a mother by choice, and it was so wonderful to hear so many people say that they had that second mom. It takes a village. And back in the day when pretty much almost any adult in your life could call you on whatever they wanted to call you right in the street, it's like, wait, no, I know your mom. What are you doing there? What are you doing there? No, don't make me call your mother. I had the librarian called my mother on me once. Oh my God. I was checking out books on Greek mythology and witchcraft, and the librarian panicked and called my mother. Really? Really? It's a phase.
Yeah,
But I grew up with a lot of moms. I grew up in a community where, if I fell down and bumped my knee, there were moms flooding out of houses. Are you okay? Are you okay? And I think that's something our young people miss.
Yeah,
There was something so special about the fact that your community was your mom.
It takes a village.
It takes a village. And being a mom is a hard job. And having a community that helps you with that. It is so wonderful being a mom. I've been blessed to give birth to 2 and be a mom to a few others. My sister's daughter, my sweet Lasana. You never know when you're going to be called to be a mom, and that doesn't matter whether you're male or female. At some point, you're going to be called to be a mom. Because it's about that balancing of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Father, Mother, God. Because it's both. And in some ways, it's neither. It's an amazing balance that it's something else. But there are times when we call on that masculine energy, and there's the time we call on the more feminine energy. And I have known some of the most amazing, nurturing mothers who shaved every day. And who, could go out and fix a car and sew up a hole in a dress. It doesn't require anything to be there for someone. And it may even be someone who's your age or even younger that they need a mom. Because the age that we have right now, 56, going on, get the cheap meal at Denny's, yay. I was waiting for that. But the thing is that, there's sometimes people who are older than me chronologically, but the inner child in them is not.
Yeah.
We can be a mom to that inner child, both in ourselves and in other people, to make it safe, because if there was anything that I knew about my mom, it was that I would be safe. Another one of my mom's phrases is, "That's my child."
Oh yeah.
And
Mama bear.
my mom had this thing she could do where she would hold her eyes in a particular way, and if she was that mad, her pupils would dilate out so her eyes looked black, which creeped people out, and we loved it. And the one thing that would trigger that, we were having some sort of event at the elementary school, and it was a play rehearsal, and my brother was supposed to be running the curtain, and a lady shoved him. It's like, "Go move the curtain." And I looked at my mom, and her eyes narrow, and I see her pupils just go, boom. I'm going, my mom's gonna kill somebody. I didn't like her anyway. And a friend of my mother's immediate, "Okay, kids, we're gonna go. Come on, we're gonna go." "No, Mom's gonna kill that lady." And one night, years and years later, my youngest son, it's like Jeremy, yes, who is going to be a reverend here. He's decided to join the ministerial program with Reverend Ronnie as his sponsor. But he had called me from miniature golf over in Milpitas, and he was upset, and he said, "Come pick me up." And I knew he was there with friends, some other kids who were in the school band. And it's like, okay, he's upset, so I told, my then husband, it's like, okay, we gotta go get him. First thing out of David's mouth was, "Calm down." I am calm. No, calm down. I am calm. Let's go in the car and let's go get him. So I'm in the car, and we pull in, and I see Jeremy walking out, and I see these kids behind him. And it's like, okay, well, he's coming towards us. I'm not liking this. I'm not liking the energy. Some kid comes up and shoves Jeremy right in the back.
Uh-oh.
Now, at first I thought that my husband's reflexes were just that slow that he couldn't hit the door lock button before I got it open and was out. Later on, I found out from him, he goes, yeah, like I want to be locked in the cage with the tiger. Those are strangers, you know, they're young, they'll bounce back, they'll heal. You would have killed me if I prevented you from doing that. So, out I came, mad as a wet bee. And I am storming my way up. Jeremy looked at me. Now, he was like really upset, and he looks at me, his whole face changes, and he's like, Mom, Mom, Mom. He's like, nope. And you know, many of you have seen Jeremy. He's a big guy, and I'm like, he's standing in front of me. I'm bouncing, trying to get around him. These kids, it's like, oh, there's no problem. I'm like, oh, there's a problem, but we're not going to have a problem in a few minutes. We're gonna. All I could think is, they are about to stop being a problem. You know, I've never been arrested. I've got 3 strikes. And my husband makes a good money. We can do bail. So, and Jeremy got me by the shoulders. And he was like 16 years old. And he said, Mom. And I looked at him and he said, I want to go home. Let's go home. And in that moment, it was like, okay. And I said, okay, we'll go home. You know, and of course I couldn't resist him. The next day, his friends came up and said, who was that woman? And he said, that was my mom. Wow, she looked upset. She was gonna kill you all. So don't do stuff like that in front of my mom. And he looked at me and he said, Mom, you know that thing that Nana does? You know, or did with when her eyes would go black? I said, yeah. And he goes, you do it too. And I'm like, good. We all have memories of our moms and what she taught us. And, you know, my mom, I was raised by 2 Air Force sergeants.
Oh boy.
There was a way to do things.
Double military family, I hear you.
And she wasn't somebody who hugged a lot. She wasn't somebody, she showed her affection in the things that she did as opposed to, you know, like being a huggy mom. But there was never a moment that I didn't know for certain that she loved me. And as she lay dying, and she was holding my hand, and she looked at me, and she said, I wasn't always the best mom. And I was like, well, I beg to differ. And it was like she was struggling with something, and I said, look, Mom, if there's anything that you would like my forgiveness for, I forgive you. And if there is anything that you feel I should apologize for, I'm sorry. And she just held my hand, and she said, okay, that'll work.
And Ayleen, your time is just about up.
And I know, I'm sorry. Give me a mic, I just can't help myself. So, blessings to all of your mothers. Blessings to all of you who are mothers, and there isn't a person in here who isn't. Thank you for what you give. Thank you for what you bring to the world, and thank you for cherishing those special people who at some point waved at you from the shore. Thank you.